Hello folks, I just want to give you a short commentary on what I read so far in Peter Schiff's Crash Proof. I'm now on page 148. So far it's been interesting. I found this take on the stock splitting to be very logical. I remember some craze over that a few years ago with Microsoft stock split. I also found the part about mutual funds to be very interesting, where managers make their money primarily off of bonuses and not the end value. I was also stunned at the confession over hedge funds, where management collects up to 2% management fee and 20% of the profits. What I got from that was all these investments are nothing but scams. Then you go into an in-depth story about the real estate market and its fallacies there. It was amazing that a lot of what you wrote I remember collectively from watching you on TV and the internet. Unlike Gerald, who keeps repeating the same stuff, for instance, when people lose everything, they lose it and go postal. You tend to say different things, collectively. I came up with this chart in my understanding of the economy and the trade deficit after I read your work. It's a formula for the price imbalances of real estate in price per square foot. It's what a 20 square foot property would be worth in a food versus housing scenario. Here in my chart, we start off with a piece of undeveloped land and start developing it into food products that benefit humans only. Now, we take that section of the rainforest and divide it into 1 foot by 1 foot squares. I have taken a 20-foot patch to demonstrate land values in simplistic terms. First, the land starts off with conversion into corn production. Eventually, all 20 square feet are taken for the production of corn. At $1 a square foot, that means the area of this land is worth $20 in income. Now, let's say the value of housing is $10 a square foot. That would mean that houses will start to displace corn production on the chart, since technically a person owning this land would be losing $9 a square foot in land that could have been used for housing. Why should he live on $1 a square foot property, right? So the area is converted into the more profitable housing, which means that the value of that area is $200 in mortgage rental values. This is obviously better than the $20 you were getting for corn, right? Now let's take another value. Another value comes in. It's the value of commercial property. Let's say this one is valued at $60 per square foot. But that is multiplied by 10 since the building goes up 10 stories in the air. So that will make the value $600 per square foot. Obviously, that would mean you should sell your land to a developer and bulldoze those houses to make a high-rise. Doing this will give you a value of $600 times 20 square foot, or $12,000 for that 20 square foot area. This is a whole lot more money than the $200 for housing or $20 for corn, right? If you notice in this formula, all your food production was eventually destroyed and replaced with housing. This would be idiotic to think that we no longer need food. The only way this housing is worth more than food formula could work is if the food is being produced elsewhere. Let's look at the land and food values in China. If you notice, I put a lower value on the housing at $2 a square foot. This would slow the production of housing in China so they could still have surplus crops to export to the United States, at least temporarily, until all their lands are displaced for housing, construction, and development too. After all, housing values are double the crop values. These are not actual figures, but are just put there to give you an idea of what is happening. So, the U.S. housing formula only works because of the existence of trading partners who still have different land value systems and crop surpluses to export to the United States. The United States still has crop surpluses, but those are shrinking and in some cases are being exported to other countries as well, creating imbalances there. I remember something about NAFTA and the cheap U.S. corn exports to Mexico, but that was in order to get corporate control of the agricultural lands. But the fact that the U.S. was trying to get control of foreign agriculture shows a desperate attempt to balance agriculture and real estate values. But as you can see from the formula, it would be impossible to sustain the formula and economic model of the United States as it is. That is why we must destroy the real estate market by devaluating property. If people would not pay their mortgages, the process could be reversed. If no more farmland is being converted into housing, there will be less of a foreign trade imbalance between countries. The banks and the government must bend to this formula. If they refuse, they'll be destroyed in the end anyway. Thank you, Peter Schiff, for your exposing of this phony system and country. I'm going to keep reading your book and come up with more scenarios. It all seems to boil down to the same things, though. Destroy the system. Thank you.